I did. I already agree.
All right, can everyone hear me? All right. Brooke and Nate.
You know what? We're going to turn music. That's music. There you go.
All right, Brooke and Nate, a love story over many years.
We think we were 12, 13, or 14 when we first met. Neither of us can remember the date, the year, or the town of the Junior USY convention of the first encounter, but I can tell you it was memorable.
I do recall that it was a miraculous meeting of the minds that sparked our interest in each other.
Enthralled with Brooke's beauty, but more enamored with her intellect, I asked Brooke what she wanted to be when she grows up.
I was fascinated by my parents' story of growing up in the 60s. It hit me. Counterculture, hippies, tie-dye, my long blonde hair, psychedelic mushrooms, flower power, peace and love. I said, someday I'd like to work with psychotropic, mood-altering drugs. What about you, Nate?
I vaguely remember saying I might be a lawyer and plan to double major in econ and political science. If that doesn't pan out, I'd like to be a consultant for property taxes, tax reporting, and valuation. I suck at math, but in those fields, I can be sure that no math of any kind is required.
All that property tax talk was such a turn-on for me. There was no mention of a future together back then, but little love notes were mailed back and forth between us throughout high school.
As creative as I am, after high school, I ran out of things to write. For the next 4 years, our paths never crossed. Then, immediately after college graduations, serendipity intervened.
Both of us had moved to Chicago. I'd been there for 2 months. Nate had been there for 5 months. My friend from high school, who went to Indiana University, knew Nate. As soon as she told him that I moved to Chicago, the phone rang. Nate asked me out on the most romantic first date a girl could ask for, brunch at Yoke.
I love brunch, and I suspected that Brooke was a bit of a foodie. The high school love notes from her were always smudged with remnants of burnt ends from Jack Stack and little doodles of Z-Man sandwiches from Oklahoma Joe's. I figured brunch would open up her world to thinking about different kinds of meatless options.
I was so taken by Nate's sincerity, his charm, and the fact that he was the first Jewish boy who truly believed I was a natural blonde. I believed him too when he said he was once a 9-pound, 12-ounce baby with curly blonde hair.
All through brunch, my head was spinning. Could Yoke be the place where in 2 years, I might propose to this girl? It's not some uber sexy, luxurious, swanky cocktail bar like the Aviary that other guys might choose, but it's got charm and good omelets.
We became an item. 2 months after our brunch date, I wonder where this relationship was at and where it was going. I asked Nate, are we boyfriend and girlfriend?
I didn't want to tell her that I had already planned the engagement and then had been to Borsheim's to the ring with Fern and my parents. The gym had already tortured me about my intentions for his youngest daughter, and then my dad Glenn had said, it's been a couple of months now. When are you going to settle down and start making some future plans with Brooke, your dream girl? Then he gave me a copy of Making Marriage Work for Dummies.
My mom is a regular weekly gawker and stalker at Land of Paws, a local pet store. One day she FaceTimed with Nate and I from there, and we could see that she had cozied up to an adorable fluffy puppy.
I heard her ask the salesperson, how much is that Shih Tzu in the window, that one with the waggly tail? She went on to say, don't you think he's cute and cuddly and perfect?
Wasting no time, Nate and I hightailed it to Kansas City and rushed to Land of Paws, where we instantly fell in love, that is, with the dog we now refer to as Lenny.
With Lenny, it wasn't the leisurely 10-year friendship like Brooke and I had experienced with each other. Instead, it was a hastily arranged marriage of pup and prospective parents. I worked my magic on the dog, promising him a home filled with Cubs memorabilia and kosher dog biscuits. I made the pooch bark his approval of Brooke and taking him across the border to live on the 22nd floor of an Illinois apartment.
I grew up in practically a showroom of dog paraphernalia, hats, coats, paw gloves, and KU-themed puppy toys. Nate and I thought it would be a hoot to get Lenny a Southwest frequent flyer number because we pictured him racking up the miles between Chicago and Kansas City and Omaha.
Fern and Holly, hopeful mothers-in-law-to-be someday, expressed disapproval of us kids cohabitating with a canine before buying a house. "Don't do it," my mom cried as she flashed a framed picture of me and my cat Chloe, who was once my 18-year-old companion. 18-year.
Well, we happily got the dog anyway and flew him to Chicago. I had always pictured being carried over the threshold by Nate, but Lenny was the one enveloped in Nate's arms as they entered the apartment. Me, I was behind them, lugging all the gear that's required to live life like a privileged Badzin pup.
6 sleepless months later, I finally got a good night's rest.
I had no idea. I was so busy at work, and when not working, I was setting up dinners at all the best restaurants in town to impress the utterly creative Nate. Once dubbed the Iron Chef for ironing hamburgers and hot dogs with an iron. I would write critiques about our restaurant experiences so our dinners would be free.
I was finally ready to make things permanent with Brooke. After contemplating and playing out all the scenarios of hundreds of wedding proposal ideas, including proposing at Wrigley Field, I settled on hiding behind a car in a suit on the hottest day of the year in Chicago in front of our first date brunch place. Yuck.
Nate had stayed home from work, hanging out with his photographer friend as they waited 10, 20, and then 30 minutes for me to show up.
My timing was a little off, but Brooke's friend Grace played out my scenario perfectly. The girls got all dressed up and hopped in a cab. Brooke thought she and Grace were headed to the aviary, that uber-sexy, luxurious, swanky cocktail bar to meet their guys. The cab stopped in front of Yoke. Grace said, "You're getting out here," and presented Brooke with a package from me.
Confused, I opened the package, and it was a book, Making Marriage Work for Dummies. Inside were pasted notes and pictures of our great times together. Nate had even dipped our dog Lenny's paw in paint, making a little paw print picture for me to cherish. As I flipped through the book and got to the last few pages, I was startled to read, "Will you marry me?" Instantly, Nate jumped out from behind the car, suit soaked with sweat, and practically fainting from the melting heat and excitement.
My friend Andrew captured the steaming hot proposal on film. Thank God Brooke said yes, because there was an uninsured engagement ring in my pocket. It had been in a drawer in my brother's apartment for months at this point.
We hadn't even looked at rings, but had casually talked about the possibility of the three of us, Lenny, Nate, and I, becoming a family. Wedding plans took off from there.
I have been fairly active in the wedding planning, and I must say, I've been there for Brooke. By attending every floral meeting, including yesterday, tasting all the cake samples, and having final approval on Brooke's wedding makeup and her hairstyle, I would say that I have not been your typical groom to be.
I love that Nate feels so comfortable being a part of our planning our big day. He loves supporting me, and I need to support him. So the letter from his doctor that he carries in his wallet.
We're going to leave the Cubs and Kitty t-shirts behind when we take our 2-week French-Polynesian honeymoon after the wedding, Bora Bora with my rookie. What could be more blissful than that? My brookie.
Oh.
Brookie.
I lost mine.
I promised to bring my passport this time and a picture of Lenny. I'm spending my life with such a fine man. I love you, Nate Feynman.
I love you just as much. if not
Joyce.
She just.
You. Joyce.
Made my film.